And Happy New Year. It is 2022, our first podcast.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Oh my gosh.
Welcome to Over 50 Starting Over, everyone. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison.
You know what just happened? I think yesterday? Robert, no, he didn't die. Robert Duvall's birthday, 91. 91. You know, since like The mistake. Godfather. Yeah, I know. Bad one, because I did see something. He's set to appear in a new comedy. So here's another one of these guys that just loves what he does so much. At 91 years old, he's still finding new projects. Wow. And dude, he's been in so many good movies. I looked at a list. I didn't bookmark it or anything. And it was just, oh my God. You know, one of the ones that I love so much, and it was like the most understated movie, him and Kevin Costner, and I think it's called No Country for Old Men or something.
For Old Men, yeah.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah. You
can, by the way, watch that for free on YouTube. That's how I watched it for the first time. Yeah, very good movie.
Wow. You know, I was just before this came on, I was watching television and I was flipping through channels and William Shatner was on, and he was just doing a new movie called now I forgot the name of it. Whatever it is.
Well, I'm glad it's not Lost in Space.
No, it was
because he just got back from space. You know,
the guy went out into space,
and isn't he 91 as well?
He's 91 years old.
Yeah,
or he's about to be 91. It looks like his birthday is March 22nd.
You can't. That guy can't sit still. You know,
yeah, he looked great. He was there was a scene where I guess he lost his driver's license and he had to take the test all over again. And I mean, you know, there's no way he looks like he's 90, 91.
Not at all. Old. And for as overweight as he is, I can't believe he made it to 91, but he looks great. God bless him. Love the guy. I really do.
So do I. And like you're right, he went into space this year. Come on.
Like, that's crazy. Like your heart and everything going blasting off. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Talk about the risk there. I mean, that could have gone sideways pretty quickly.
Yeah, to say the least. You know what I liked him on most of all? And of course, for you, it's going to be the original Star Trek for sure. But man, when he took the role of Denny Crane in Boston Legal, it killed me.
I never watched that show.
You really robbed yourself there, because it was such a different character for him. He's this womanizing, egotistical guy, and he'd always be like, because I'm Denny Crane. He was like this legendary lawyer, you know, and he played that off, you know, in his twilight of his career. It was so good, so tongue in cheek. Oh, that's my favorite role of his of all time. You probably hear it. I have a little bit of a cold. It's just kind of interesting. I got my third shot. I think it was last Thursday. I don't remember. Did I mention it on the podcast?
You did. Yeah. You did.
Okay. So then I already got it. Monday, I woke up with a bit of a cold, not knowing, or was it flu, or was it the vid? You know, didn't know. And you never know. And I still to this day hope that it's the vid, because then I get all those natural antibodies. That'd be great.
Yeah.
It's been super mild. So super mild. I've had great workouts all week and stuff, except for Monday. It kicked my butt on Monday when I woke up with it. So what I did, I mentioned this one time a long time ago, but a few years ago, I discovered Zicam. It's that stuff that you squirt up in your nose. And it's clinically proven to reduce the longevity of colds, and my God, does it work?
Does it?
By the next day, Tuesday, I was fine and crushing it at the gym. I have this little raspiness in my voice. I get a occasional cough, and that's it. But I don't feel bad at all. I haven't all week, and so it's basically over. I just thought I'd mention it. It's kind of obvious in my voice, I think.
Your voice sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some James Earl Jones here.
Listen to that.
So I mentioned The Godfather with Robert Duvall here a minute ago. I wanted to also just tell you about, just for some fun, about a logo process I'm going through. I've been commissioned. Dog, don't start. Oh my God. Hey, look out the side windows. See the snow?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at that. It is a winter wonderland out there.
It kind of is.
Those are the big flakes.
Yeah. It's pretty. It's not, the wind's not blowing a lot, but I will be breaking out the snow blower here after the podcast.
Yeah. How fun is that?
It is actually fun.
At least you're not using the shovel.
On my Airbnb property, I have to, but I contacted them. I thought I'd be over there at noon. And they're like, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. So I'm like, okay, it's supposed to be nice tomorrow. It'll melt. All right. So got out of that one.
Yeah.
Anyways,
something I don't actually miss.
Oh, for sure. But I honestly, I think the snowblower thing's fun. I really do.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
It's like a kid. You're shooting the snow all over the place. It's effortless. I go down the road. I do the sidewalks. I do driveways, aprons of neighbors' driveways. And
I was always so jealous of people that had snow blowers. Like when I was a kid, because of course that was my job, was to shovel all the snow. And I'd ask my dad, "Hey, how come you don't buy a snow blower?" And he said, "Because I got 2 of them already. You and your brother."
You mentioned that before. That's classic 70s dad.
Yeah, exactly. That 70s show, the dad on that 70s show.
That was my dad.
Relate to that. Yeah,
even looked a lot like my dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I put multiple participants for sharing. We got a lot to talk about, dude. I got some things that you're gonna like.
Wait, but you mentioned this logo, but
so I wanted to start with that. So I've been commissioned by this company that is a revolutionary. They don't even want me to use the word surround sound, because surround sound, as we've known it for all these years, isn't true. It's not real. It's the way they describe it is a little bit too engineering oriented to me, but they have more of a true surround sound. And so they want me to do the branding of it, the logo, working with the slogan, and it's going to have multiple branches. It's going to work in nightclubs, and it will work on headsets and in any kind of audio devices. And the name that they want to go with is Syndicate of Sound. Syndicate of Sound. So
that's pretty cool sounding.
Aimed at kind of the classic rock. They got Steely Dan, a guy from Steely Dan, coming into Cleveland here to debut this thing. I think it's next Wednesday. I will be going to it.
Debut. How cool is that?
Logo will be unveiled at this time. And so I've been going through. Do you see it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I've been going through logo proofs. So they say Syndicate of Sound. Think Godfather. All right. So the Syndicate got some cool stuff there. So what I almost always do with my logos, sometimes I forget, but I go through my proofs now. So I went with the Godfather end of this big time and had a lot of fun with it. But just to be fair, I had to explore my own other things in my head. And so you see all these different versions here. And then what I do is I put them on Facebook. And I
saw this on Facebook.
Oh, okay. I didn't see you vote. Hallie always votes. I love it when she votes. And so I got 9 votes on this first one, 13 votes on this second one right here. And the one that is a big variation, departure from what they were asking for, got 19 votes, got the most votes. This one down here. And so we got 7 votes here. This one, I forget, I didn't put the number down, but not that many. And then this one, which I also really love, though, it's real heavy metal, kind of thrasher rock looking. 4 votes on that one. But I had to, I always, when I do a logo, unless it's a super cheap budget logo, when I do a real logo for somebody, I have to really explore it all the way through to do it justice. So I think we're probably going to end up around something like this right here. I'm super happy with it. And I am meeting with them virtually at 3:30 this afternoon to tighten this thing up, because like I said, I believe it's Wednesday that we have a big unveiling, so we got to produce this thing. So then from there, the initial thought for the slogan is immersive audio, and I like it. The shorter that you can make a slogan and make somebody wonder what that is,
I was about to ask, what is immersive audio?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm thinking immersing, like going underwater. It's completely
that's
enveloping you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because they pick apart it. It's a heightened, more high fidelity version of what you know of surround sound. And so that's why they're unveiling it at this nightclub that specializes in caters to an older crowd like ours, and they have mostly cover bands, or they'll have a something I'm trying to think of like a Todd Rundgren type of crowd, and it's a dinner theater atmosphere, and so they have a very intense sound system, which is perfect to unveil this. It is all software driven, by the way. So it pulls the music apart and puts it into the different speaker system more appropriately than we've ever experienced before. So with I've just proposed a little bit of slight modifications to the slogan, and that is to add to my colleague Susan Lacotte suggested, immersive audio sounds a little incomplete, and she suggested, well, how about coupling that with unrivaled quality, which with this logo, it looks good. I think it's a little long for a slogan, but I'm not opposed to it. Then I also had the thought of, just to be more succinct to the definition of what this audio really is, I'm going to throw at them 21st century audio. And we'll just discuss it and see where we go with it. But I wanted to just show you guys the process, because like when I put this on Facebook, it's been a while since I've done this. And boy, a lot of people are like, oh man, I miss when you used to do this all the time. And I kind of got away from it. Yeah. And it's very valuable. Like I share these results with my client. So it means something. I still think they're going to go this route, even though that's the second most voted on. But I think that's the route we're going to go.
I was going to ask you I mean, I can't even imagine if I got a task like this, where would I start?
Oh yeah.
When you, for a layman like me, logo, if I don't really think about it, it seems like, oh, that's got to be easy. But no, I don't think you got to say so much with such a small thing
and create curiosity.
Yeah. And then that's what the company lives with. That's on everything. That's their calling card, literally.
Well, here's the most important thing. More often than not, your logo is the first impression of your company.
Yeah.
And a bad first impression is hard to overcome,
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So were you
you're coming up with a color scheme here. Yeah. You've got a moniker there. I guess that's what you would call it. Immersive. I mean, where do you come up with that?
Well, it's always got to be a collaborative effort. And these are some pretty creative people from the radio industry that I'm working with. And so they came up with Syndicate of Sounds, which I like. I think it's kind of rock and roll and descriptive at the same time. And so I shouldn't say normally, a lot of the time I am involved at the very beginning of helping name a company. And what I do is I always say, what do you want to be represented as? What are give me some keywords. And then I hit a thesaurus, and then I start seeing how lights start going on. And we're all creative. It's just, we're creative in different things. And some things something will spark one person, but another thing will spark another person. So I think if anyone hits a thesaurus enough and starts throwing keywords around in different combinations, you'll get a spark. Like, oh, that kind of has a ring to it. And then you got to get past the trite too. Like Phoenix. Oh, we're going to be the Phoenix of the. Okay, everybody's the Phoenix in every industry. All right, you rose from the ash. Gotcha. Get beyond that. Go to the next thing.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Even when I come up with concepts like, looking at the Godfather angle was a little more straightforward, but then I wanted to do something different and really more modern, something to really juxtapose off of it, to give them something to think about, which is where I came up with the one that's actually the highest rated. And so I start hitting a thesaurus on sound. And audio, start looking up audio, some imagery of that. They'd start looking up broadcast. and getting imagery from that. And so that's what it is. I use a thesaurus a lot to jog my mind.
So the immersive sound, is that something that they came up with, or is that something you came up with?
Oh, immersive audio, and I like it. So if we don't change it, I'm good with that. I'm mostly responsible for the visual. Mm-hmm. Great with that. And there's a lot of offshoots to come off of this. Like I said, stuff for headsets in and of themselves. The initial kickoff will be for like nightclubish bars and stuff, selling the audio equipment, or I should say software, to them to enhance their audio. And then a couple of other things I'm not that familiar with right now. So then I'll be doing sub brands, I do believe, for all this. So it's really a very cool commission for me to have. And it's with my friend, Mark Tennant. He's part of this group, and got to have him. I was talking, we got to have him as a guest on a podcast at some point, just talking marketing and stuff. He comes from a very deep marketing angle.
This is so important. I mean, the logo, as we've mentioned already, but the logo, I'm thinking, there are some logos out there that just speak volumes. The Nike logo, for example, everybody wants that. They've got it on their shirts. I remember Adidas was a big one. I had 2 tennis shoes. But can you tell me, like, from your expert opinion, are there logos out there that you've seen that you're like, why would they do that? That doesn't work. What comes off of the top of your head?
Okay, as I said, and I want to get past this because we got so much more to talk about. I just thought it'd be fun to show you guys what I was doing. But as I said, logo is the first impression of your company. It's hard to overcome a bad first impression unless you got a really, really good business model. Staples, the Office brand, they have the most childish logo that I'm sure somebody's little brother did for free. And yet they've had a very successful company all this time.
Interesting.
That,
now that I think about that, it's like, what? But
there's a hospital system out here, and we got several. Cleveland's land of the hospital system. So I'm not going to name any names, but one of them has the most convoluted logo that is clearly created by a marketing team committee. Committee being the operative word. It's all concept and no aesthetics. It's kind of dumb and a mess. But that's what happens when you got marketing people instead of designers doing it, and committees.
Interesting.
Because when you have to appease a committee, each one of them looks for something to be offended by. And so you finally strip it out till it's to get their buy-in until it's just god awful in the end. So that's always something.
Gotcha.
And I write a lot of articles about logo development, how to develop your own logo, how to outsource, what to look for to develop your own logo, how to stop a committee from destroying your logo. And that's all about you give 3 proofs. All right. And then you go hourly after that. That stops them every time,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Thanks for bearing with me on that. I know, I think at the very beginning, when you see initial concepts, people get kind of jazzed about it. So that's why I wanted the show.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So thanks for appeasing me on that. Let's see. What else did we have? Let's see. The Browns have been totally eliminated from the playoffs. I haven't done an update with them for a while. They got COVIDed out, injuried out. I mean, it was a horrible season from them since game 2 when Baker Mayfield got injured and been playing with a brace on it. Horrible season. So they have one meaningless game on Sunday left. That's the end of that. Anything in this intro up front part that you got? I could talk about how to whittle down your middle.
Whittle down your middle. That's an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah, it's another Cleveland Clinic health email that I got that I thought was just vaguely interesting, that I think at the beginning of the new year, we could hear a little bit of this. Let me just go through it quick. It's only a minute. Starting an exercise program and sticking with it is one of the best things you do for your health, including your waistline. That's where the whittle down your middle comes from. So clever. We're not talking about trading in love handles for a 6-pack for vanity's sake, but about tackling the deep belly fat that surrounds organs and has been linked to illnesses like heart disease, cancer, and dementia. So that is very important. So a new study adds to the research showing that exercise can reduce this harmful fat known as visceral fat. In the 12-week study, participants lost an average of 8% of their visceral fat by doing 45-minute cycling sessions, several 45-minute cycling sessions a week. I can attest to that. I think that this is a very good way to go, low impact. So if you have a stationary bike in your house, watch a video while you're doing it. It's going to do you a world of good. While investigating precisely how exercise helps to reduce visceral fat, researchers found that a compound involved in the body's inflammatory process may play a role. More research is needed to understand the mechanism, but the takeaway is clear. Get moving. Aim for about 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity aerobic activity like walking or biking. Get a puppy, folks, let me tell you. Plus 2 or 3 strength training sessions per week. Really perfect advice. It's moderate. We're not talking about going crazy here. And just to wind this up, make sure that you eat what you eat loves your body back. Processed meats and refined processed carbohydrates are a major belly fat culprit. So in addition to exercising, cut back on added sugar, to say the least, and get your carbs from fiber-rich plant foods like beans and lentils, whole grains, sweet potatoes, veggies, and only whole fruit, not juice. That's just a bunch of sugar, natural sugar. That's it. So it's just some common sense stuff. And it's about moderation, not about going crazy on with what everybody does wrong is a New Year's resolution. I'm going to work out 2 hours a day, every day, and then they're done after week 2.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's got to be moderation.
Speaking of that, a couple of things that come to mind as you mentioned that. One is this book that Anne Marie has that was given to her by her niece is Hidden Stairways in Los Angeles. And it's kind of amazing. So we went on a couple of hikes, going on that exercise theme to find these stairways over the weekend.
This sounds cool.
It's kind of amazing, actually, where these neighborhoods are built on these giant hills, and to get around in the neighborhoods, they built these stairways. One of the walks that we went on, it had over 600 stairs that we actually went up. Which,
wow.
When you get to the top of these places, because it had rained all last week, all the smog had been washed away.
Nice.
And it was amazing. Sometimes here in Los Angeles, you forget how beautiful it is all around you because of the smog kind of veils all of that. And not only is it smog, but the ocean causes fog. So there's fog and smog, and you can't really see the mountains that are surrounding the city. But these walks, we were seeing snow-capped mountains all around Los Angeles.
That you usually can't see?
No, you can't. Well, it doesn't. Usually they don't get snow on them. So because of the rain here, it snowed there, and it was magnificent. We saw a couple of different sites. And the interesting thing was that these stairwells are normally in very urban areas near downtown. So there was this serious juxtaposition of, I think that's the word, but we would park in a really urban area that looked like just crap. It just looked like this is the third world country here. It's broken down. People are walking like limping around like zombies down there and everything. But then you get on the stairwell and you go into these beautiful neighborhoods that are just right above there. And then you end up at the top where there's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. And you come back down and it's just kind of wild.
I've shared some pictures of this though.
Yeah, well, they're all in my head. Anne Marie did take some pictures, but I don't have any. I wasn't even planning on covering this, but it was really cool.
It's fascinating.
One other thing I wanted to talk about, just following up from last week, on New Year's Eve, at midnight, we talked about how people fire guns around here.
Yes.
I could not believe what it was this year. it was like World War II outside for a good hour and a half, from midnight until about 1:30 in the morning. It was just a constant. I mean, I'm sure there were fireworks as well and but it was just a constant, just pow, 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 for an hour and a half, just rocking the whole place for an hour and a half. It was crazy.
Well, it's ironic because it's so shut down and clammed up there and all that. I mean, I guess that's why.
It's funny because my kids live in Simi Valley, which is where it's famous for a place where a lot of police officers live. And I thought, what was it like over there? It was hardly anything. They have all the guns, right? But they weren't the ones it's over here where I live, where it's just like, it was everywhere. It was insane over here for a good hour and a half.
That's kind of terrifying.
It's kind of interesting at the same time. We had this report that came out recently that about Beverly Hills and how there's been a run at the gun stores there. And you think in Beverly Hills, it's very upscale. I mean, it is seriously upscale over there. But they're all buying weapons over there. And it's sort of an interesting thing to think about. The dynamics that are happening here, where the police aren't able to really enforce the law because they've been downsized so much,
defunded.
And the citizenry knows that, and so they're arming up. And
seems like common sense, doesn't it?
It does.
Who would have thought?
I'm thinking this, though, that, if I'm a criminal, that to me would be even more of a threat than the police. That, hey, you break into somebody's house, they're going to kill you. Mm-hmm. So there's good and bad, I think, in that whole thing. But I'm sure some of those people that bought their new guns were trying them out on New Year's Eve.
Wow. I bet you're right. I want to ask you, okay, so Lisa says to me, you keep on reading these things that Lisa wants to cover at some point, but you don't cover them.
I knew you were going to get that.
So, yeah. So what do you say we tackle this one? And it's a good one, and it's a tough one. Regrets. What will I regret when I'm on my deathbed? How do I find self-forgiveness? How do I make a shift right now?
You brought that up before, and I was happy
because I wanted to put it. Yeah, I wanted to put it in your head. And this is kind of a pinnacle that it comes to, is what will people say about me at my funeral? These are the kind of things that we will think about when we're faced with more life-threatening. All of a sudden, you find yourself in the hospital, and you think you might have some kind of terminal cancer, and you find out you got a kidney stone, 2 weeks later. But you're starting to think about these things. Right. I'm just trying to put some perspective on it. What do you think about the concept of regrets in the first place? I have my own thoughts on it, but I don't want to adulterate yours.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like I don't want to have any regrets, by the way.
Well, everybody
you know what I mean? I don't want to live my life like that, but I don't know. It seems to me that in my life, I've always, wherever my heart has led me, that's where I've gone. And I don't know that if today was the last day, I don't know that I would be thinking that I had any, to be honest with you. It's interesting.
Okay. It's interesting. I think about regret as kind of a guilt, and and regret, I think, to some extent, when taken in moderation, is a course corrector. That if, like guilt is, and both, when taken too far, are kind of pathological and crippling and unnecessary, because, like I said, it'd be crippling. And what you've done in your life, I know where Lisa's coming at with this, and this is what I think about all the time too. Both of our fathers and your father, all three of our fathers, died at a young age before they got to enjoy their retirements. They worked hard. and never got to enjoy retirement.
Yeah.
And I know where Lisa's coming from. She works hard and she just can't, when she's in it, she's focused and she can't stop. And she worries that about the same kind of a fate. So at what point do you shut things down? And nobody's got an answer for that. No one's got a perfect answer for that. I don't care. We could talk about this every show. We're not going to come up with something definitive. I've always tried to live my life with a degree of balance, and regrets could be taken a different road. What if I did more of corporate America throughout my life rather than all the ups and downs that come with being self-employed? I don't know. At the end of the day, you're not going to be, if you did these big major events differently, you wouldn't be you. You would be somebody else.
Exactly. That's, I guess, why I don't have this kind of thought in my head, because as I look back, I remember when I was 19, I got into a whole bunch of trouble. And I used to have these dreams that, what if I were to have avoided that? And, what would have happened if I would have avoided that? But it didn't take that long before I realized that those things actually led into life changes that were super positive in my life, and led me on a great path, even to the point where I met people and made friends with people that I probably would never have made friends with. In fact, I probably wouldn't be, you and I probably wouldn't have crossed paths had that not happened to me. So, it's like, I feel like, and this is maybe more of a spiritual conversation for me, I feel like there's a scripture that says that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord. And the Lord uses these things to guide you into other things that are meant to bless you. And I've said this several times on the show, where, the bad things that have happened in my life that have harmed me have blessed me exponentially more than the harm that I ever received. So, I was, one thing you mentioned though was I was thinking about when I was in college. At one point I felt, and you just think back, I was so undisciplined in college. At one point I went down to the recruiting center, and I was just going to leave college and become a paratrooper. And,
I didn't know this.
Yeah. I was messed up. Like, what am I doing with my life? I have no discipline. How am I gonna, do this? And I went down there and I told them, boy, you should have seen them when I walked in the door. They were so excited. Oh, we could get you involved. We'll have you jumping out of planes in no time, And I came home from there and I was kind of excited about it. And I told my dad about it. And the next day, he and his brother ended up talking to me all day long. And finally, at the end of the day, I broke down. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do it. But I remember the one thing that
why did he talk you out of it? I mean, in fact, why was he clearly adamant about talking you out of it? I would think that he could see that as being a great thing to build.
It's because he knew me. He knew me inside and out. And here's what he got me with was, he goes, Merle, you don't like being told what to do. Oh, yeah. And that's all that's going to happen to you in the military, is you're going to be told what to do, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And I couldn't act like that affected me. He said that early on, but I had to act like, I know, but that's the thing that really sunk in. I'm like, yeah, what am I thinking?
Likewise, I always got pretty good grades and stuff. As a result, I got offered to go into, this is so vague. I mean, we're talking 30 years ago, but in college, I got an offer to join Army or something as an officer, like go right straight into being an officer.
That would have been a better deal than what I was thinking.
So I wondered every now and then, what if I did that? And then you just said, you don't like being told what to do. I was at that time in my life, like as I am now, I wish that I would have taken that road just to explore it and see what became of it. But now that's what regrets can do to you. Because if I'm now being realistic about who I was when I was 20 years old, no way would I.
Right?
No, it was not who I was at that point in time. What's not even close.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll think about this, Barry. If you would have done that, and by the way, I just want to say this. I do not regret the decision that I made. I'm so glad I did not make that decision. I'm also very glad that it was my dad that helped me to come to that realization. But, Desert Storm happened pretty quickly after those things. And we may have been involved in that. Now, I wouldn't have been going into officer training, meaning
you would have been parachuted.
I would have been parachuted into
the Desert Storm.
6'4". Well, how do you not miss me coming out of the sky?
Yeah.
I can see me bobbing and weaving coming down there. Please don't hit me. So, I guess when I think about, the possibility of regrets, this is kind of how I think about it is I feel like I've been guided down this path. And, I was sitting with my daughter the other day. She came to visit and, we had the best time, Barry. Hallie is such an awesome person, and just being around her, and she's so easy to be around and such a great conversationalist. And we stayed up real late and we played video games together and talked and laughed. And I was just looking at her and thinking on a shoestring, I became involved with her mother and, had her, it was just by chance we met up, but and it totally changed my life. And here I am with this beautiful woman now, who I adore. And that just completely changes my life for the good, for the better. And
she makes the world a better place.
She makes my life so much more meaningful and worth, it's gold in my life. Right. And I was telling her, look, I would if I had to sacrifice my life so that you could live, it would be a no-brainer for me. And I mean, just that kind of love, it makes life so worth it. And and again, I mean, it wasn't like I set out to have this beautiful daughter. It just, time and circumstances happened, and I just got blessed and immensely.
And I want to try to make this somewhat helpful for Lisa in her context, and therefore other people. Is the way I'm looking at this too is, man, we got a long ways to go yet. We're not at the end of this. Isn't supposed to be a conversation about us on our deathbeds, looking back and thinking about regrets. We still got a terrific third chapter ahead of us. So
it's like my stepfather told me yesterday, the best is yet to come.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm still looking at things from the viewpoint of my career, and I still want to go a lot further. I'm working on trying to get some bigger contracts. I've been working hard on this, and it would just make me feel a lot better working at a little bit higher level. I'm shooting at some higher level work and stuff. And I don't want to regret not pursuing exactly what I want to pursue. Working with Susan on doing a conference, doing a talk at a conference on podcasting, because we want to get some more contracts to produce more podcasts. I love doing it. I mean, the production of it, not even being in front of the camera here. So it's taking what you want to do most. That's her and I were on the phone talking about that. Well, we could do a presentation on whatever you want. How about content marketing? How about this? How about lead generation? How about that? I'm like, let's do podcasting. I mean, especially considering the audience. That's it's a government oriented audience, and they can get grants and just, pay us to do all the production. And I like doing it. So do what try to find avenues where you can do what you want and achieve your goals.
Yeah.
That's
Do
what
what's
I'm
in your
about.
heart. Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing that's in your heart. That I just believe God put whatever it is in your heart, whatever dream it is that you have, pursue that. This is one that I had, just like you. I mean, right. I was thinking about this as I was coming into our show today. And I was thinking, I always wanted to get into some kind of broadcasting. I mean, that's what I majored in college. And I had this fantasy it's so funny that I was realizing this as I was walking into my office today. And the fantasy was that I would have this radio show. In fact, I would have a radio station in my house, and I could just go, maybe it was in the basement or something. And I could just go down in the basement and do this whole thing right out of my house. I wouldn't even have to leave. And kind of forgot all about that until I was walking in here today and going, oh my gosh, this is like a reality. It's happening right now.
Right. I want to wrap this part up because, man, we're flying through this podcast. We got a whole bunch more to talk about, but I do want to put a bow on this with saying, for Lisa, I know how your mind and your heart operates, and you're unique in your way. What you're talking about when you're asking about regrets is what you're going to do with the third act of your life. And whatever route you go, because I know I want her to do something she's more passionate about, even though she's freaking changing the world in healthcare, making a big contribution. It's so important what she does, but it's so hard. It's so time consuming. It's so stressful. That's the thing. And so she wants to do something where she feels it's more fun. I would help her in every way. And I've always encouraged her to do that. It's a matter of, can she do it without going to the wall, taking that bone and running with it too hard. It's really, can we find balance in what we do? Whatever the answer is to that, don't regret it, because your personality is going to dictate it. There's not a lot you can do with that. You just got to do your best. And it's like I said about being offered that whole officer thing in college, how I regret it now, who I am. If I think about it, I don't really, because I immediately go, my 20-year-old self, no, wrong move. So you
were Billy Idol back then.
Basically. Yeah. you gotta, don't fool yourself, because you're more mature now thinking about the past with regrets,
Well, can I just add one last thing?
Sure.
Is that, you brought up the fact that all three of our fathers passed away at an early age. And my dad was an executive at the Bell System, and he was on trips all the time and working late and things like that. And I'm sure when he was having his heart attack and was realizing that he could possibly die, that the thing he wasn't thinking about was, I wish that I had one more day to go back to work.
Right.
And I think that's something I thought about a lot. And the thing that's most important in life to me is our relationships and the people that we care about. Now, they could be at work, but I mean, I think I would be thinking I would want one more day with Anne Marie and more time with my kids and more time with my brother, more time with you, the people that I care about, and investing in that as we look at, as you say, the third act seems to be the most important thing. I used to talk to my dad about, and I've talked about this before, how we wanted him to retire because we could see what it was doing to his health. And he said, I'll lose my pension if I do that. And
Lisa thinks like this too.
It's not, Dad, we don't care about the money. And he would, well, you'd care when you don't have anything to eat. And you do make a point there.
It's about how much stuff do you need is really what it comes down to at this point.
It does. And I don't know, keep love in the center, I guess, is the thing that is the theme there. I believe.
I think that's well said.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
hey, I had something that is
please.
You have this love for Jordan Peterson. I kind of like him too.
Dude, I'm in about a third way through a podcast with him and Dan Crenshaw right now.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Oh my God.
I love Dan Crenshaw, by the way.
If you listen to even this first third of this podcast, you're going to love him a lot more.
I'm sure about that. I am sure about that.
Yeah.
But he came out with a statement today, and it just lines up to everything that you always mention this, but he's talking about Joe Rogan, another one of our favorites. And he's talking about I kind of want to share this, actually. He's talking about the success that Joe Rogan has had and why he has that kind of success. And I just wanted to show this graphic here. And he's saying right here, it's because he doesn't lie or talk.
Are we supposed to be looking at the video or? Oh, no, okay. Okay, there you go. Pull that up just a little bit.
Yeah, or he says, or talk down to his audience or manipulate for his own narrow advantage.
That's right.
And, Rogan just did this episode with Dr. Malone.
Okay, let's just keep that real light and easy.
You don't have to remind me about that. I know about that, but he got banned from one of the from Twitter.
The day
look
before.
At this, Barry. This is what I wanted to show you on this. Is these are the ratings that he's getting compared to all the other mainstream that's out there.
Look at CNN at the bottom.
But this speaks volumes to what you've been talking
because we
about.
want truth. Yes,
exactly. That's exactly what Peterson is saying. Is he doesn't lie. He's just telling it like it is.
Right.
He's being himself, and it's just a refreshing thing to see. And
it truly
is. That's what people are looking for. By the way, that particular episode that got banned has been entered into the congressional records. So that
what does that mean?
This means that in the House of Congress, one of the congressmen actually took that episode and entered it into the official record so that it could never be permanently deleted from our records. And it's pretty interesting stuff that's going on right now. We've talked about this a lot, about
it has to come to a head soon.
The statism, trying to delete the truth. And there are advocates that are out there that are still in our Congress that don't want that to happen, that want to have healthy debate. And I think, our country's based on reason and debate and healthy debate, respectful debate. And I think that's healthy for our country. And I think when you take a look at guys like Peterson and Rogan, they're advocates for this kind of thing. And I'm glad they're out there. I might not agree with everything that they say, but I'm glad they're out there and they're putting it out there. And this is a medium, this podcast medium that we have, very important to our society right now. Very important to our free speech.
Now, here's the big differentiator. So, Rogan is exclusively on Spotify, where he signed the deal so that he could not be censored in any way, completely independent. And so you can always find his episodes fully intact there. You can also find our episodes fully intact there. I encourage you to download the Spotify app and look up Over 50 Starting Over and subscribe, and the Joe Rogan Experience. I think that those are very valuable. I also highly encourage Breaking Points with Crystal and Sagar. Now, so they put excerpts of the clips of the Joe Rogan Experience clips on YouTube, all of which were deleted of that particular episode. So what's going on there is because Google owns YouTube, and it's been really, really bad. The censorship gets more and more heightened all the time. It's got to come to a head here at some point. In the meantime, we have to try. I have been giving thought, Merle, to if we take all of this kind of controversial stuff to talk about and put it at the end, and I could just clip off at that point and put our first 3/4 of the episode on YouTube and say, hey, if you want the whole episode, go to our Spotify. And that's where you get the rest of it. The stuff.
That's not a bad idea.
Because I'm already worried about that. You mentioned his name. That I'm sure that triggered.
I don't think you can get. Yeah, but mentioning your doctor's name. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think we have to be careful about self-censoring.
I know. We do. That's why I'm trying to devise ways to get around it without getting deplatformed.
Yeah.
All right. So moving along, I didn't have this in my notes. I was just talking to Lisa about this before the podcast. So I wanted to mention it because I said Merle would be interested in this. I just remember I was listening to Crystal and Sagar excerpt the other day about the meat packing industry. They had a special guest on to talk, a journalist, about this. You know how inflation has hit the meat industry the worst,
big time. Yeah.
Well, dude, cattle, the price of cattle is actually going the opposite way. Farmers are getting screwed. They're the ones raising the cattle. It's these 4 meat packing industry companies that run the 85% of the entire meat packing industry, and they are being accused of complying with each other. What's the word? Collaborating together in a kind of a conspiracy to keep prices up high. And they're using, like a lot of industry is, they're using this word inflation to artificially jack up their prices and just reap all the profits. And that's what's going on in the meat industry right now. So the farmers are, as always, getting screwed in this at this very moment. I thought you would find that interesting, of all people.
Well, I don't like that, of course.
You like your meat, man. I thought this would make you irate.
I gotta have my, and and it's just, I know what's going on here, and it is making me mad, and that's also making me hungry. So don't mess with my meat. I like vegetables, but I want to have meat with my vegetables. That's all. And that's funny. What's next? Jeez, yeah. I'm telling you.
Oh no, a lot of people are using this whole inflation word as an excuse, and it's the larger corporations right now are just really killing us. There's a lot of underhanded stuff going on. Oh, here's one that's good for you, though. Democrats are planning for Pelosi's expected exit from House leadership. Hakeem Jeffries seen as the favorite to lead the caucus. Got a link for that. So apparently she's going to retire. It's expected she's going to retire next year.
Yeah.
That's good news. It's great news.
It's good, and Hakeem Jeffries is sort of out of the frying pan and into the oven for me.
Okay, I don't know him. Really.
Yeah, well, he was big on the whole impeachment trial, and he's the same kind of guy as Pelosi is, and so I just feel like what, I'm just tired of this whole bickering back. And why can't these guys work together?
There's just no intention to. They can't. It's a smoke screen. Keep us divided. Keep us divided.
I agree with that. And it's too bad. It's too bad that that's happening. I mean, yesterday they had the whole January 6th thing, and Harris compared it to Pearl Harbor and 9/11.
And they're interviewing each other. They're interviewing other journalists going, oh, PTSD. We're all suffering from PTSD because of the trauma we went through over there. AOC was threatened with her life when it's found out she was 3 buildings away.
And when you look
Who's now hiding out in Florida? Do you see all the stuff with her? She's in Miami, whooping it up. She's missed lockdown,
Well, and she put out that post that said, and when people criticized her, Republicans, the one guy said something about her boyfriend's feet and how white they were. Okay, I don't like the personal attacks here.
I don't either.
I don't think that's in politics. Stay away from that. That's juvenile. We're not in high school. They shouldn't be high school. But then she came back and said something about that Republicans wanted to date her.
And people that disagree with me actually want to date me. That is the most immature thing I've ever heard.
That just brings our politics to such a low.
Did you see Candace Owen? Candace Owen called her out on that. She said something like, AOC, I don't want to date you, but you're a complete hypocrite.
It's just, come on.
Oh, I got an article to that. She said, no, I don't want to sleep with you. Candace Owen hits out at AOC after the squad member said any Republican who criticizes her just wants to date her. Way to go, New York. You've been destroying your own city with the people that you elect, and she's as bad as they get.
Yeah, I agree. Gosh, it's so crazy what's going on. But yeah, I mean, going back to that whole thing is on January 6th yesterday, it just seems like we're stoking. I know it's because the midterm elections are coming up, and
they got nothing else, man. They've had nothing else. Their ratings have been going down ever since. That's the last event that they've had on the Republican Party to try to keep ratings going. It's a sinking ship.
What are they? It's nobody really. Neither side has really anything good to talk about. I mean, there's been no accomplishments in Congress. There's really been no accomplishment.
I lost you.
About whatsoever. They have nothing at all. We've got a big Supreme Court case that's going on today. That they were hearing arguments right now regarding the mandate. So that's going to be big news. But that should be something that Congress is taking up. And where are they? These guys are completely vacant. There's nothing good happening there.
All right. You froze up for quite a while there, so I kind of lost where you were going with that. I mean, I'm going to have to edit that part.
Okay. That's weird.
Yeah, well, we got some weather going on here. That sometimes has an effect. Hey, how about this one? No charges for Cuomo in the nursing home investigation. Now, isn't that coincidental that he just had his sexual allegations, whatever, dropped as well? Which I said from the beginning was all a smokescreen, because when you are responsible for 12,000 deaths of elderly, wouldn't you rather be on trial for grabbing a boob or something?
I don't know if I'd want to be on trial for any of that stuff. If I had to take a choice, I guess I wouldn't want to be up there for murder.
Yeah, he's not. He's dropped everything. All charges are gone.
Ridiculous.
So, yeah,
it's ridiculous. Well, we've got a lot of crazy stuff that's going on here. Hey, here's a one that's kind of fun. So North Korea claims that Kim Jong-Il invented the burrito.
What?
Yeah. So that's Kim Jong-un, who's the leader of North Korea right now. His dad. The state-run media over there is saying that Kim Jong-il invented the burrito, and it's not surprising because he also is said to have hit 5 hole-in-ones the first time he played golf.
Oh my God!
He invented the hamburger, and that he did not ever use the bathroom.
Oh wow, that's fun stuff. Yeah. Hey, do you remember? I know if you got more on that, fine. We're just kind of skipping through news at this point, but it's funny stuff. Do you remember Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos that has been on trial for grifting as this Steve Jobs lookalike, female Steve Jobs?
No, I don't know anything about this.
Oh, well, she was found guilty on 4 of, 10 charges or something like that of defrauding investors. I went over this before. I found it a fascinating story. So she's this socialite in the Silicon Valley clique that has been grifting. Like at 19 years old, she drops out of college because she has this idea that she's going to build this box that takes a tiny blood sample and does all of these tests. Know about
this.
Yeah. So she found a partner, her lover or something, that created this company, and this thing wasn't working very well. So what they were doing a couple of their tests correctly with this box and subbing everything out to other places and then bringing the results back. And people started getting obvious. I remember when I was watching a 60 Minutes presentation, there's like this skinny young Asian guy who's jogging, and he's like, yeah, I had mine sent in, and I came back that I have type 2 diabetes. I just developed it. He goes, I got a little suspicious at that point. And then somebody on the inside, this lady, also blew the whistle from the inside saying, hey, this is not legit. So all in the health ramifications of all these people that are starting to get treated for things that are incorrect diagnoses from this illegitimate product. But all this time she's getting millions and maybe billions, but $945 million lost, defrauding investors, big names that are bought in because of her demeanor. She's wearing the black turtlenecks all the time.
Right.
But the funniest thing, and I got it here on video for you, is her voice. So she's talking in this deep baritone as this relatively petite blonde. And even on that 60 Minutes interview, I shared the link to it several weeks ago, but her former professor at college was like, I saw this woman. It's like, I know who she is. Where did this voice come from? And you want to see?
Yeah.
This is good. The 60 Minutes interview was fantastic, but I just got a few seconds of you in this interview so you could see her and listen to this voice. And you know what? I didn't share this.
Yeah, you got to hit that little button.
Yeah, that little invisible button right there. And here we go. Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, make it bigger.
Okay, here we are. Any day now. Come on. There we are.
And everything in between. It was going to change healthcare as we knew it.
Our work is in the belief that access to health information is a basic human right.
By 2015...
That's all I wanted to show, and I don't want to get any copyright infringement on that. But that fake voice, I mean, as soon as you look at her, and it's kind of like watching a Britney Spears video. You see this pretty young girl, and all of a sudden this crazy auto-tune voice comes out. It's like the first time I ever saw a Britney Spears video, I'm like, that voice does not match that girl.
So is it her voice, or
it's her voice, but she's talking like this.
She's trying to
she's
talk.
She's putting
like
on this deep. Yeah, it's a total fake voice. It sounds totally fake. Yeah. This has been called on by everybody. It's just the extent of this grift. Oh, well, it worked. It worked to the tune of nearly $1 billion. People fell for it left and right because they wanted to buy into the young female Steve Jobs persona.
Yeah,
I think it's fascinating. That's right up there with that Hilaria Baldwin, who was grifting as that Spanish girl.
I remember that.
That was like, how did you expect your high school students not to sooner or later come out? They're all seeing you, everywhere in the press. All right, what else you got? How about large California school districts eliminate D and F grades because they're racist?
That does not surprise me whatsoever.
Right.
That's just ridiculous. And the people that they hurt by doing that are the very people they say they're trying to protect. Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yeah, I remember maybe about a year ago, there was a story out about how they were going to lower the bar exam levels that you needed to pass for Black people. And it's like, okay, well, that's going to cause people to not want a Black lawyer.
Of course.
Why
can't think that through? Boy, you can't think that obvious little thing through there.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I know that we're starting to run out of time here. I did have a movie that I saw that was pretty interesting.
That's cool. Save that for the lighter side. I got one more thing that I should have brought up before. It's just a funny headline. Schumer. He's right up there with Pelosi, is my least favorite person.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer says Capitol mob shouted, in quotes, "There's the big Jew. Let's get him," as he recalls being within 30 feet of, quote, nasty, racist, bigoted insurrectionists. Only Chuck Schumer would actually have us believe that. There's the big Jew. Let's get him. Yeah, that's right up there with Smollett wearing a noose around his neck. That's how believable that is.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Why?
Isn't that pathetic? Your face shows it. It's just absolutely pathetic. You don't have words for it.
Well, it just goes to show that these guys they've got nothing. They've got nothing. If that's all you have, I mean, come on, anybody could do that. Why do we? we've got a real problem with how are these people getting elected over and over again? It doesn't make sense. I mean, you can't. How are you getting elected on that? What is it that they're saying that's getting them elected? Is it that? I hope not.
We touched on it earlier. The hope that we have here is you showed the graph is Joe Rogan Experience being by far and away running away with ratings now. Crystal and Saga breaking points, I'm sure because of the wherever the data was pulled. I know Krista and Saga breaking points is up there neck and neck with Joe Rogan as far as rating goes. Mm-hmm. And that's really important. That's independent reporting. And that's the saving grace that if we have one, that's the saving grace that we have for everything.
Well, and the other thing is that people are craving the truth, and mainstream media isn't giving it to them. You brought out that CNN ratings were at the very bottom. I mean, it was just barely a blip, and they're mainstream of mainstream, and people have left in droves because and I'm sure Joe Rogan is picking it up. But hey, look at and Fox News. I mean, as well as much as they were doing over CNN, Joe Rogan was nearly tripling that volume. So it's it's really interesting to me. I've come to the point where it's like I can't trust any of them. I've got to confirm and reconfirm. Here's something, Barry. This week, as I was looking at comparing CNN to Fox News and looking at the news stories around January 6th, you would think that two different wait, are you talking about January 6th last year, or was that the year before? Because it's two different worlds. Like how could two different worlds exist at the same time?
I hear you, buddy.
And it's wrong. It's wrong, and all of them are guilty, and that's why Joe Rogan has that kind of that kind of following.
Thank God that we finally have the technology that has come forth to enable us to put the truth out there. And look how hard the tech industry is trying to make that not happen with all this censorship.
And they're not even trying to hide that. And I think that hopefully this is a sign that people are getting it, and they're understanding what's happened to their freedom of the press.
And on that particular Joe Rogan episode that you brought up, that scientist talks about how the BBC is complicit with big tech and big media in censoring. They choose what, and even to the point of saying, like, justifying. So when Fauci says he is science, that is exactly what they have decided is the truth, is whatever some Fauci and friends says is the truth. And he said verbatim, he says, how do you say it? He says something like, the sky is red and it's really blue, then, well, it's red. I mean, I forget how he said, but he said something like that. He goes, whatever they say is the truth. No. And that's scary, man. It's really bad. The censorship is so bad right now, and it's got to hit a pinnacle here. The Titanic's got to hit the berg at some point.
Well, what's interesting is when that happened, I did a little background research, just looking at Yahoo Finance, and I was looking at Pfizer, I was looking at Twitter, and I was looking at who the holders of the stock for each of those companies are. Both of them are between 70 and 80% held by hedge funds. If you look at the hedge funds on both of those companies, it's Vanguard, it's BlackRock, it's State Street. They own both of those companies. Yeah. So the fact is if somebody's attacking one of those, they can shut you off of social media, just shut you down, because they're the same people. It's a very interesting thing when you take a look at who owns these companies and what the motivation is behind all of this.
It's really important the awareness comes out. That's the first step that we got in starting to point things in the right direction. And I'd encourage people to go on to Jordan Peterson's podcast and catch up Dan Crenshaw's this latest podcast with Dan Crenshaw, because that's a dude I would vote for in a minute. He's a straight arrow. And there are other people. You mentioned Kristi Noem before. Yeah. I always mention Tulsi Gabbard. There are really good, solid people out there that we should be looking at. Tulsi Gabbard, you won't get a good look because she won't take any corporate funding.
Yeah.
And so, okay. Hey, hey, Doug. Let's lighten this up with your movie review.
Wait, you know what? I'm gonna pass on the movie review and bring that to the next segment, but because I did have a lighter side thing here that I wanted to pull up, and I think this is a really cool story. And we heard about the snowstorm that happened this week.
Yes.
This is.
I saw that. Yeah.
I love this. These people were stranded on the road for like 20 hours. They couldn't get anywhere. And the big deal is because, it's Virginia. They don't have a whole bunch of snow plows and things like that to deal with the type of snow that came down. But these people realized that, hey, we're in this big crowd. There's kids that are out here that haven't eaten in 20 hours. People haven't had anything to drink. And they saw this truck on the road, a bakery truck on the road. They called the bakery to ask if they could just give up some food and give the people some food. So I think it was over 50 people ended up benefiting from this truck. Here's the truck driver right here.
He gets a call from the CEO.
Got a call from the owner of the bakery. The owner actually called the original people that called personally and said, yeah, let's open it up. So here's the guy out on the road passing out food. And I think that's a beautiful human story right there. People coming together and helping each other out.
Not like the governor was coming to the rescue.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up.
The outgoing governor and a whole lot of people on the left who were so hurting, so butthurt about the new Republican governor. They were already trying to blame him. He's not even in office yet.
I think that was kind of funny too. But everybody wants to point fingers, and I just say this: forget about the politics. The fact is, we're all human beings, and when people need help. Again, forget about the politics, man. It's people need help. That's what this bakery CEO was all about. That's what that truck driver was all about. And they fed the people out there, and that's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, it is. Okay, with that, hey, everybody, please go to over50startingover.com, sign up so you can catch us on whatever podcast channel of choice you choose. I suggest you go to Spotify, download that app, get us there. We get the video, audio, just listen to the audio. That's what I do. But anyways, we'll see you next week. Thanks a bunch, people. Or you can catch us in the after show. It'll come up on the left-hand side. Is it the left-hand side of your screen in about a minute, about a second. All right, see you.
Yep.